So did you know this? Ishola Oyenusi became the first ever armed robber to be executed in public in the early 1970s. And after his execution, some Nigerian movie producers as at the time wanted to make a movie about him titled Oyenusi. But they were scared to do it because it was a risky topic, as some of Oyenusi's boys were still in town even after his execution, and they might attack the producers, so no one dares to recreate a movie about him as at the time. This fear lasted up to 1977 when the veteran movie director Eddie Ugboma took a step. He called for actors to play the role of Oyenusi in a movie he was about to produce. He titled the movie The Rise and Fall of Oyenusi. But no actor was brave enough to step forward to take the leading role. They all feared that Oyenusi's boys might give them some troubles at that time, as the boys were still roaming town even after Oyenusi has been executed. But the brave Eddie Ugboma, who was the movie director, had no choice than to play the role of Oyenusi himself. In the movie, he revealed the secret of top Nigerian officials and military men who were the ones backing Oyenusi and his gang up by providing them money and weapons. He went ahead to reveal many secret things about Oyenusi in the movie. Even when he was aware that the outcome of the movie would be life-threatening to him, he went ahead to shoot it. And as expected, Eddie Ugboma was threatened by Oyenusi's boys in real life, and later the store where he sells as a trader was looted. He was sent a warning letter to stop shooting the movie and everything would be returned to him. But as an Igbo man that he was, Eddie Ugboma proved that he was not a coward by eventually releasing the movie in 1977. The threatening continued until late 1970s when he was ambushed and almost kidnapped, but he did stop the movie from being released. Eddie Ugboma later died in May 2019. He is often remembered for directing and producing real-life films such as Rise and Fall of Oyenusi in 1979. He also directed The Boy is Good and Apalara, a film about the life and murder of Afa Apalara Bisiriu in Okeowo, Lagos. And many years after, Odun Adekola also created a film portraying the life and time of Oyenusi. Have you ever heard about one of the most notorious criminals in Nigerian history, Oyenusi? On September 8, 1971, Oyenusi, together with 6 of his gang members, were publicly executed by a combined police and armed force firing brigade. Ishola Oyenusi, popularly known as Doctor Oyenusi, was a notorious criminal who terrorized the people of Lagos and neighbouring cities back in 1970. Ishola Oyenusi and his gang of 6 were highly skilled in snatching cars, robbing banks, factories and stores, killing people like chicken. Ishola Oyenusi came into the limelight after the end of the Nigerian Civil War in 1970. He robbed banks and people in broad daylight and even at night, and he never let any of his victims live to see the next day. This earned him the popular name Dr. Rob and Kill. On the 27th of March 1971, which was the day when he was caught, Oyenusi was nabbed by the police during one of his robbery actions, which him and his notorious gang killed a police constable and stole almost $28,000 as at that time. After he was caught by the police, cloud of shame hovered over Dr. Oyenusi. Then he was casted before the law after being found guilty and sentenced to death by firing squad. Back then, public execution used to be the order of the day. So when Oyenusi was ushered to the popular barbish in Lagos, where he was executed, over 30,000 Nigerians were happily waiting to see the man who had terrorized them for over years. Dr. Oyenusi and his gang and one of the criminals dropped down from the truck slowly. He was sweating profusely but managed to smile throughout the whole thing. He kept on smiling and smiling and smiling, but he could not hide the agony behind his face. It shows that he was very scared of death, even though he was killing people all this while. Few minutes before he was shot, Oyenusi told one of the journalists that he would not have ventured into armed robbery had it been his parents had money to send him to school back when he was growing up. He was killed by firing squad at around 2 o'clock p.m. alongside with his criminal friends. So before the reign of Hush Puppy, there was H Money. Before Ramon Abbas, aka Hush Puppy, came to the spotlight, there was Hope Oluwasegun, aka H Money. H Money was the OG before IG. H Money was the first to pull a $1 million scam from prison. He was in Kirikiri prison and was still scamming from there. As at the time when he was reigning, at around 2011, Hush Puppy was still an apprentice in the game. What game? It was internet fraudulent. But note that this is not a comparison of who dominated the internet fraud. This is just to create awareness on how the unethical game of fraud has evolved into a profession in this modern day. Now, Hope Oluwasegun, aka Hush Money, was one of the most notorious fraudsters in the early 2010s. As at the time when internet was beginning to become the sensation to this generation, that was when H Money started to shine. So Hope Oluwasegun was a 32-year-old guy from Kogi State. He was said to have graduated from one of the universities in Malaysia, and between the year 2010 and 2012, he was the talk of the town. Even hip-hop musicians mentioned and praised his name in their songs. So around 2011, one Nigerian artist dropped one song like that and was praising H Money in the song. If you remember one Remini song titled Too Much, you will know what I'm talking about. That song was the genesis of H Money's problem as EFCC began to monitor him. Then not quite long, he was caught by the anti-corruption agencies after being involved in a fraud deal worth 4,000 Malaysian currencies, which was about 25 million naira as at 2012. He was still on trial when another fraud case was reported that he was involved in check cloning, wire transfer and forgery. So he was arrested and got 12 years imprisonment sentence. So while H Money was in prison, he pulled another $1 million fraud inside the Kirikiri prison. Yes, at the time when he was having a 12 years jail term, he was sneaking out of the prison with the help of the policemen and prison warders to meet his wife and 2 children lodged in a hotel. He was doing transaction underground. That was the sweet definition of men mount road clear. no police. Because the police that were supposed to be in charge of his case were actually benefiting from him also. So we can actually call them the benefit boys. He had various bank accounts opened in the name of his wife and quickly brought properties in Lekki, Aja and other places. He had various exotic cars and was even living largely outside of the prison life. He was finally apprehended in one of his apartments again and was sentenced to another 12 years imprisonment, in addition to the 12 years he had earlier, making 24 years imprisonment. And that was how H Money's reign went into extinct. Not long after Hush Puppy began his own tenure too. So could we just say it was H Money that paved the way?